Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what has happened to the stock today, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members. So I'm just checking something quickly here. With our members every single day, the market is open, so definitely check that out with that link down below in the description of the video, where again, I constantly share my thoughts, post updates with my members for just $3 a month, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks. But again, these thoughts are all shared, during the market hours while the market is trading. Or for $5 a month, you get access to everything in the first year. So Tesla plus sometimes other stocks, like maybe Google recently. I've been buying Google recently. Plus Nvidia for $5 a month every single day, again, as the market is trading, constant updates. So definitely check it out. Link is down below. We're over 500 members now, and a lot of people are signing up for the double tier, so that's very nice to see. We're actually about to pass more people in the double tier, so the $5 tier, than the $3 tier. I think we're just a few members away, so hey, you could be that person. But anyways, jumping into it, Nvidia closing the day with a respectable 3% on the day, with QQ up about 1.5%, so you can argue Nvidia is kind of just following the market, but nonetheless up a respectable 3.5%, actually playing out almost to perfection, like I mentioned yesterday, right? We had this nice little bull flag, and I told you guys it'll have one more little push up to the upside, right? And that's exactly what we got. I ended up, obviously making some money on that, though I ended up giving it literally all back because I was trying to catch the knife on Trade Desk, which I decided not to hang on to that one, so I pretty much gave it all back. So hey, it is what it is sometimes. At least you know what, at least I technically didn't lose, because Nvidia made up for that. But nonetheless, Nvidia pushing up right into that resistance level from that 1 hour little bull flag I mentioned, which now is essentially complete. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, don't care about it anymore. But yeah, looking okay. This is the part where I unfortunately will start turning back into a bear. I turned into a small bull over here, like I mentioned, off that bull flag. Obviously played that myself, and now I am turning it back into a bit of a bear here. Maybe even more than a bit of a bear. I'm actually turning into potentially a bigger bear. For many reasons, I'll be completely honest, many reasons. So let's start off with the 4-hour chart, right? Remember how I mentioned yesterday with that same bull flag, right? That same little bull flag that we just explained, or I showed you on the 1 hour chart, right? Nice little bull flag. I mentioned how it was going to rally, right? I even think I specifically mentioned to 136. I know I did to my members yesterday before market close. Let me see if I can scroll all the way down to yesterday's post. See, all these posts right here was just from thing. Yeah, this one here. This is for the Nvidia tier. Yeah, I like the bull flag breakout play tomorrow / Friday into about 136 / 137 to really trap the bulls, and currently leading on that to happen. But then we could see a decent rejection. The thesis falls apart below 128ish, right? So that's essentially what I shared yesterday, and that's literally exactly what happened today, right? We went right into 136.5. So like, you couldn't ask for a better. I actually sold too early. I sold at like 134 and change. I didn't even hold to the end, but the point is that we broke it and we played it, right? So, but the thing that's important, it's not like just about, oh wow, great, good call, but whatever. The thing that's important, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I mentioned how it'll also do this while also creating a bearish divergence in the 4-hour chart. That's exactly what we got, right? We essentially did make higher highs on the 4-hour chart here, not crazy higher highs, but higher highs nonetheless. And now we're essentially making a bit of a bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart, as the RSI is having issues making a higher high along with the stock. So, I'm starting to see these kind of things, and I'm like, okay, that's not ideal. I'm not gonna lie. That gives me trappy vibes, I'll be honest. And I said that it's gonna rally essentially right back into this trend line, which it did, right? So this trend line is still very much intact, and this is still something to watch out for, right? Nvidia has had a beautiful rally for the last week and a half, or whatever you might want to call it. And it really still feels like, because it did have increased volume slightly, but it's still, the volume is not amazing, especially considering how aggressively it's been rallying to the upside. It's not a great, it's not amazing. I'll be completely honest with you. So that's number one, right? Those instances I just mentioned, that 4-hour bearish divergence, on top of also, of course, being again right back into that trendline resistance, are things I'm not excited about, right? This is not a level I'd be buying. Again, I bought a small little play there, but this is not a level I'd be buying and just praying that it crosses back above. It could. I'm not saying it won't for sure. It absolutely could, but just, it's not a level I'd buy at to hope for that. I'd rather wait for better confirmation and then buy on this kind of dip right here instead. Or wait for it to actually dip. Whichever one happens, doesn't matter to me. So that's that. Obviously, we have that Wyckoff distribution I mentioned the last few days. So if you haven't checked that out, I did mention it on Monday's video. So check out Monday's video. I did talk about it more in detail there, and Friday, I think, as well, or Thursday last week. I don't want to keep mentioning it every single video. I want to repeat myself too many times. So check that out if you haven't. But there's the Wyckoff distribution, which we're pretty much right on the tail end of it now. So that's a little bit concerning. We have the weekly market bias still, of course, in that red kind of territory here, which is still a little bit concerning, and combined with that trendline resistance. So, you know, I'm seeing these kind of factors, and I'm not super excited still, right? This is not, you know, this doesn't get me too excited. I'm not looking at this and thinking, wow, I want to buy right at this resistance here. It's like, you know, it could, of course, break out. It could break out and then come back in, but I'd rather buy back in on a retest after it breaks above it and confirms that maybe this was just a massive bear trap and we're making our way well higher. But I'd rather not be that, like the martyr, if that makes sense. I don't want to be the martyr here. You know what I mean? So, you know, we'll see how that plays out ultimately. Let me go back and bring these things here. And I believe it was this here. So yeah, so watch out for that kind of thing, right? On top of this, as if all that wasn't enough, you know what, let me move this because I want to show you the Fibonacci here. All right, take the Fibonacci. So take the Fibonacci from this recent high that we had all the way up here, closer to 150, bring it all the way down here. And look what we're rejecting. We're rejecting, like we're dancing right around that 618 Fibonacci. This is one of the most common and powerful retracements you can ask for. And why is this a good retracement here? Well, because we did ultimately make a lower low, right? So this is technically and arguably a bearish retracement back up into what could be, you know, a prime spot to essentially short the stock ultimately, right? Best case scenario is back up into the green fibs over here, but that would make things more complicated because that would also mean we broke back above this trend line. And I'm not gonna lie, things would get more complicated there because do we just reject from this like actual, like exactly like super duper value level for the bears to really come in and hit the stock back down, which and then this would be just a massive bull trap, even for me probably, honestly, because we'd get back above the trend line or, you know, or what's going on. So to me, like the point I'm trying to make is the cleanest rejection would be pretty much right around here, like not too much higher at all from here. Like, yeah, you know, let's fall from here essentially, right? That would be the cleanest rejection. It would make things a lot more simple, I would say. Again, if we move up to these levels here to closer to 141 and these fibs up here, things would be a lot more complicated and very confusing. I'll be completely honest, right? That would make it very difficult for me to read the stock properly. So yeah, so anyways, the point I'm trying to make is we're also at that 618 Fibonacci level. So again, you combine all these factors, right? Weekly market bias is red. We have the Wyckoff distribution. We have, I mean, an absolutely phenomenal rally, but at some point this, you know, it's not just going to continue rallying like this and just, you know, hey, we just rallied like this much here. Let's just go sideways a tiny bit and go up even more. I mean, it could, but, you know, our size getting into overbought territories here as well. So I'm seeing all these things, you know, the divergence on the 4-hour chart I showed you, that bearish divergence, you know, I'm kind of seeing all these factors and I'm not super excited. You know, I'm not super excited. So that's just the main way I'm looking at it right now in terms of a potential massive bull trap, which again is playing out exactly like I mentioned yesterday so far. I'm not saying it will continue to do so, but so far. So let's see how that plays out. Now, the levels to the downside, if we do reject from here, the first level will simply be pretty much, you know, around 133, 134. That'll be like the small kind of intraday level right here that we are kind of holding. You can see we had issues here, then we came down here and we held it. So that will be the first level to hold for, you know, resistance, but or support, I should say. But if we make a, you know, a heavier move to the downside, again, closer to about that 128, 129-ish range would be the level for support all the way down there. But if this actually ends up being the actual top, you know, at the very least, I would expect a rejection on the fibs, right? All the way back down closer to like 122, something like that. Worst case scenario, closer to 117 would be like that rejection for still potential bullish continuation, which can look something like, you know, massive move up, back down, and then move up again, right? That could be that. But the bear case, you know, again, it's pretty bearish. I know, you know, no one thinks it's going to happen until it does happen because, again, if you told someone this bear case, of what I'm about to say down here, everyone would be like, yeah, of course it's going to go down lower. Like, what the of course it's going to go down lower. This stock is done. But now suddenly the stock has risen a few, you know, like, no, I shouldn't say a few percent, but it's, you know, it's risen a decent amount, we'll say, in the past few days. And now everyone is like, why would it ever go down again? Like, there's no reason for it to ever go down again. It's crazy how the mentality always works with the stock market, right? Whenever stocks are near bottoms, everyone's like, the stock is done. The stock is done. If you're buying here, you're fucking stupid. And then, you know, near the tops, they're always just like, if you're not buying up here, you're so stupid. It's, yeah, right? You know, so we'll see. Well, I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see. But anyways, so the worst case scenario, like I said, is the true bear case scenario is the weekly time frame really comes in, really smacks us back down very aggressively. And Nvidia can easily make its way back down closer to about $100 per share, right? And make a lower low, which, you know, could be a new massive pattern that it does. However, that could also set up potentially what could be a very, very large kind of bulk like on the weekly time frame. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out ultimately, right? Because you can technically take the Fibonacci from this swing that really started this momentum back up. And, you know, we actually technically already bounced that off that 618. So that's actually not bad. but technically we could still make our way back down to $100 per share to that green fibs, and that would be like the prime spot. Like essentially, if it ever comes down from here all the way down to $100 per share, people will be panicking. No one will be buying it because everyone will be too scared to buy. But if you go back to this video, let's say if assuming this of course happens, hopefully that will remind you that that will be like chef's kiss type situation to buy, man. You would not be getting a better deal. But yeah, so that's kind of my thought process right now moving forward on Nvidia, right? So let's watch for these levels. Let's see how it continues to play out. It did get that bearish divergence like I mentioned. And, you know, again, if there's a spot for the bears to really strike the stock back down, I really can't see this truly is like the best spot to do it. Will they do it? I don't know. I'm not trying to say it will for sure. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Nobody knows. I'm not saying I know. Nobody knows. You don't know. Nobody knows. But if there's a spot for it to happen, this is it. Let's see. Let's give it some time. Let's give the stock time to digest. Let's, you know, let it figure out what it actually wants to do. And again, if we do break above, that'll be great. Then I'll rather buy on this retest down here, and then, you know, we hopefully continue up from there. Otherwise, I'll be looking to buy the dip down here probably, and then if we actually come down all the way to the hundreds, then I'll be obviously much more aggressive. But yeah, anyways, that's all I got for you. Take a quick look at options flow, of course, before we close off the video. What do we have here? Nothing crazy, actually. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty mixed. Pretty mixed. Nothing really standing out, to be completely honest with you. Pretty muted, surprisingly muted, I would argue, for both the directions. I wouldn't say it's bearish or bullish necessarily. Yeah, you can even see Nvidia here is nowhere really to be found. It's all the way down here at 16 million, which is not a lot for Nvidia. So pretty muted options, pretty quiet day despite a 3% move. So let's see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. Nothing really stands out to me, but again, just strictly off the lines, technicals, all that jazz. That's my thought process, and let's see if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Again, I will be wrong at times. I know people expect me to always be right, and people always come to this channel thinking that I'm going to tell them exactly what's going to happen to the cent, to the decimal, to the price. It's like, oh man, and if I have one video where I don't tell you exactly what's going to happen next, everyone's like, okay, well, you're useless. It's funny. It is funny. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and let's see what happens. Peace.